Hi everyone, we're live again from Edinburgh this time from my side. Thanks for joining me back for our roundtable. We have Merritt, Lewis, and Paul. We really enjoyed all your talks, and I'm sure the audience did as well. And also for the audience, if you guys have any questions, just type them into the Q&A box and the chat box, and we will get to them. But if not, we already have a couple interesting questions lined up, so I think we can just go ahead and start. Okay, actually, first thing though, Lewis, who do you have on the photos behind you? I wanted to ask that before already.
Oh, that's my son, who I hope was going to make it to the NFL, but he kept getting concussions. So now he's an art director at an agency. And here is there's a soul group from the 60s, 70s, and 80s called the Temptations. He's a friend of mine. He's passed away, but he was the bass singer with the deep voice for the Temptations over there.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's
right
so
there
cool.
is Otis Redding. He's from my hometown in Georgia. He's a soul singer. So that's
Wow.
it.
Nice, love it. That's great. Okay, I guess to the actual questions now, but that was really cool.
That was a good question.
Right? Well, the other one I wanted to ask.
I was wondering too, so.
Well, the other one that I wanted to ask was, because I know at least you two are kind of into hip hop, which is, what is your top 5? That's more of a selfish question from my end, but
top 5 what?
Top 5. You didn't see the movie with Kevin Hart? Top 5 rappers or hip hop artists.
Oh wow, we're gonna go there.
Yeah, you have to talk about that one because that's a little bit behind me.
Wow, top 5. Groups or rappers?
You can do both. I don't mind.
I don't know. Wu-Tang Clan, Nas. Someone will yell at me if I don't throw Jay-Z in there. Rakim. Shoot. Public Enemy.
So, Paul, I'm ahead of you, right? So I go back a little further, like Gil Scott-Heron. That he was rapping, they call him rapping. You know what I mean? But somebody
Last
like
Poets.
Gil, the Last Poets. Yeah, you know about them going way back. Those guys kind of laid it down, some groundwork and stuff.
The original rappers.
Yeah, the original rappers. But these guys at work, they fought like for 2 weeks about who was the best. So to your point, Paul, you never get there, right?
No, it's a lost cause.
Yeah. Everyone forgetting about Tribe Called Quest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could do this all day. So
Sure. Okay. Now the actual questions, I promise. Okay. Maybe I can start with Merritt. I wanted to ask you if you have any particular tips with like dealing with rejection and knowing when to ignore your critics, because as you were saying that you tried to get your company off the ground and people were just kind of wanted your ideas but not really you to work on them.
Well, I had a lot of experience with rejection early on in life because I was mom. Have to develop a thick skin and sort of approach yourself as a product. But it was harder actually for me to have to deal with rejection when I had an idea, and it was more because of my background or because I was a woman that they weren't interested, that they took it. That was harder for me, or people just not getting it. You know what I mean? They didn't understand the power of mobiles. They didn't want back. They didn't want to invest in something that gave back. So that was harder. And you just stomach it. Like, what do you do? Life, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're going through life, if you're putting yourself out there, you're going to deal with rejection, and you just gotta handle it and move on. Some people are going to like you and some people aren't.
Yeah, much agreed for sure. You guys have anything to add?
I would always say it's always strange to me when I hear founders say they haven't talked to customers. But they don't talk to them because they're afraid they're going to kill their baby, And the thing is, you want someone to kill your baby because eventually the market's going to see it and they're going to deal with it accordingly. So I always encourage people to get out there and, just kind of take the heat because that's how you're going to create the best, whatever it is, product or service that you need to deliver. So embrace the criticism.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a little bit of a follow-up then to what you were just saying. What happens then when you don't pay enough attention to customers?
Lewis.
Well, you get in trouble, right? I mean, you get in trouble. I mean, I think Paul, you said it's like you want people to bring up that red flag. The sooner is raised, then you're okay. But so many corporations, whether you're building something, making something, doing an ad, and you just get into your own world, right? And just and the real true judge are the consumers and the people out there and the customer, right? So if you ignore that, then you headed to failure. It's very simple, but people just keep doing it over and over again. There's no secret to it. It's like common sense.
Yeah, and I would add to that, when you're creating a product or a company, you do have your vision, right? You do have something that you see that no one else can see. And so you want to make sure that maybe it's 60% that and 40% customer influence or employee influence into whatever you're building, but you do want to pay attention to the people. But at the same time, you need to have that balance of your vision and the thing that you want to create that no one else can see.
Yeah.
I
think the customers are right into the like whatever they say goes, that's what it's about.
Would you would you then say that this is maybe like the most challenging part about the whole thing, like about building your own company or doing like a project, is to actually pay attention, or is there another bit that's more challenging?
I was saying in my conversation that the market behavior has been changing. The buying criteria has changed. So when I say that people want to collaborate with you, they do. Like, and I'm talking about your customers in your community. They actually want to influence product. They want to influence the direction you want to go in. And we see Nike do this too. Like, you're able to build your own custom shoes, right? They built that whole thing. So there's two differences between Typeform and Video Ask. Typeform was built more or less in a bubble, right? And so that product was built basically off the founder's vision. Now, we probably could have avoided version 2, the version 2 woes, if we would just listen to customers, but we didn't. We were like, we're going to stick with this. But compare that how we're building Video Ask. We have a Slack community. We're getting requests all the time, bugs, feature requests, ideas. And that's an active community that the co-founder, the person who's actually building the tools, is actively engaged in. And so I believe that Video Ask is going to be a much more, how should I say it? Much more robust product in the end because of all this input that's coming in.
Makes sense. Do you guys have anything to add? Cool. All right. Next question then. One question again for Merritt as well. How do you pick your team? How did you pick your team in the end? Because you said there was a few things of there was like a bit of, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, and the ones that I've built, the first one I went out and I found co-founders or whatever, and I went about finding people that I really jived with, people that had the same vision as me, that got the vision, that believed in the social responsibility aspect of the vision, and we were giving back to the rainforest. I mean, the goal was we the people, bring the people together, so they're streaming around social navigation at the same time. So that was that. So I found people that believed in that, and then we built that from scratch. We built the MVP, we built the office, we hired the developers, we did the whole thing. And then when we didn't get funded for it, that team sort of dissipated, and then I had to sort of bootstrap the app and basically find an outsourced team that could take on where we had left off, or where the team I'd actually built it initially had left off. And then we and then that I got on well with, that got the vision, and that just understood the code and where we were, and they picked it up. And then for the second time, when I started building Meet Greet, I went directly to outsource, because I knew I had to build the product first, have a revenue stream, and then it was going to be easier for me to get funded. And with that one, I interviewed different teams, and I found the people that I thought could execute my vision the best. Since I was paying for it, it really wasn't hard to find that. And then I ended up actually going back to my first development team that had taken it over. I'd always been working with them because they were still running my first app. And I brought them back in. And then after that, I've just maintained them. And so we've been working together for years now, and they're just amazing. So I think it's finding people that you work well with. You know, you interview people, you see if they understand the vision. There's different ways you can either go about building a team or building a product first and then implementing a team. And so then I found my marketing people, and I've slowly added on as we've grown. So that's how I went about it. I think we all go about it in different ways, probably, right?
Mm-hmm. For me, in advertising, I two different paths. You know, if I'm looking for someone senior, then I'm looking for leadership and things like that, right? And the ability to lead, and of course, talent. If I'm looking on the younger side, the entry level, I'm looking for work ethic. You know what I mean? Do I see the passion in their eyes? You know, will they be able to go through this 3 or 4 years of the speed bumps in the road? So I kind of have two different ways of how I look at people on the creative side and the ad agency.
You got anything to add, Paul?
Well, I would say that, first of all, I came out of social work, and the CEO took a chance on me. And I think that I'm hiring a team this year, and what I'm looking for is maybe someone who hasn't been there before. I know that sounds crazy, but they have what Lewis talked about, that hunger, that passion, their willingness to learn, and that adaptability. And I think all that is like, some criteria. I'm just giving a chance to somebody who hasn't done this before. I think that's going to be important to me.
Mm. Like, how much do you guys think you've learned on the job in comparison to how much you knew before going into it? You know what I mean?
For me, I'm constantly learning. Like, I knew I had a vision for what I wanted and what I wanted to build, but it's a completely different. You're constantly growing. You're constantly learning. There's always something else that you're going to be, taking on, or another challenge, and so you're growing. I mean, if you stop growing, if you stop learning, if you stop listening, then you're out of it. For me, at least as an entrepreneur, I have to be going constantly.
Yeah. I worked on the U.S. Army account. I was talking to one of the sergeants, and he said, "Lewis, you can't train for war." You know what I mean? Because war is war. I mean, there's nothing like war until it's war. We can crawl on the ground and have fake bullets, but it's nothing real until it's actually real. You know what I mean? So, as you prepare in life, school, and all those things, there's a certain part of it, but the real school is the real thing.
Yeah. So Mike Tyson said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth."
Yeah. So just you don't know what to expect. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, maybe a little bit of a pivot from the current topic, but you were both, at least Paul and Lewis, you're both in kind of like more design space. So I wanted to ask if you have any like favorite brands and or like favorite campaigns that you've seen recently, and why do you like them?
I mean, I've always loved Nike because I've always thought that as a brand, just top to bottom design, social consciousness, stepping out, making a statement, not being afraid to fail, supporting. I always thought that brand has always been one of my favorites.
Mm.
Yeah, it's usually one that I talk about, but we could talk about Patagonia and how they do subtle things. Like on the back of their tag, it said "Vote the assholes out." Right.
Oh, wow, cool.
They're just super bold about, and they really believe and have conviction about their mission, which is, sustainability, saving the planet and all those things. So you love to see people who really own the vision that they have, and really it shows through everything that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are actually my two favorites as well. Patagonia, I love. I don't know if you guys know the Tompkins, their backstory, but they do a whole conservation thing that's phenomenal what they've actually accomplished with saving Patagonia and helping the entire, put all of the South America into national parks. It's really amazing what they've accomplished there at Patagonia.
Yeah, I would say anything that, I mean, I know you asked for a campaign, but something that goes beyond the campaign is everlasting, right? And they're not even thinking, they're thinking about lifetimes. They're not thinking about the one-off campaign, right? And so that's amazing.
For sure.
Yeah.
By the way, funny thing. You guys know where the "Just Do It" slogan comes from?
I've heard stories,
Yeah, I've recently learned where that was from, and it's kind of crazy, and you can't unsee it after that. Apparently, it's from someone that Gary Gilmore, I think, because he was saying basically "just do it" to the guy, and that's where the Nike slogan comes from. So that's just kind of crazy.
Wow.
Okay.
Watching too much Tim Ferriss podcast. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, they should keep that inspiration to themselves.
Exactly. Well, talking about inspiration though, where do you guys draw inspiration from?
Wow.
Everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly inspired. I mean, I could think I've always gone through life and I just see things that I want to build, or if I want something and there's not something there, then I'm always like, oh, I want to create this, or I write it. For me, like, planet is one of my biggest things that inspires me. Nature has always been gung-ho about trying to act and help make a difference there. In whatever way that I can, which is why that my first company was a sustainable company to help the rainforest. So like so many things that we can still create that haven't been created, and that's the really cool process about being an entrepreneur, about being a creator, an artist, putting things out there. For me, it's constant. I mean, we having a conversation and something can inspire me.
Yeah. So just keeping your eyes open as well at all times.
Meeting new people. These two new people I just met, I'm inspired by them. You're inspired by, there's always a problem to solve. There's always a problem to solve, and that's what I love about what we do. It never gets old. We're not athletes where we can't run and fast anymore. As long as we can think a little bit, you know what I mean? We can put it down. So it's just been inspired by others, inspired by the world changing around us. You know what I mean? It just makes you want to do something. And great, we come up with ideas, right? So we can respond to something. We actually can say, wow, whether or not I can create something to respond to something that I'm inspired by, which is really good. We're blessed to have that talent.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, thank you. Let me see how much time do we still have. 2 more minutes. Oh, a little bit over already, but I think I haven't been getting the studio hasn't been on me yet to finish this up already, but so maybe just one or two more questions, I guess. I have one more question for sure, which is how does your logo communicate your brand? We had a talk yesterday by Dalton Mag, which was a Typeform from Type Design Studio, and they're talking about this, and it kind of connects with like logo as well. So maybe that's an interesting question.
Well, I came into an ad agency that already had their logo, and our logo suck. So one of the things, I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I want to redesign it. It really needs to be redesigned, you know what I mean? Because it really does not reflect who we are, what we do. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes logos need to be updated and sometimes they need to be scrapped. And I think ours need to be scrapped and thought, you know what I mean? So that's it. I hope my boss is not hearing that,
I like our logo. I mean, our logos to me, they like having a conversation, and they're just really simple. I'll show you guys what it is. If you can, it's bees that are facing each other that meet. And so cute. Basically, it's a video chat app. So I like it. I think that it accomplishes, and then I can show you actually meet greets as well, which is actually just it's all black and white, and it's two people shaking it to an M. So I think they're both simple, and I had a designer that I really love in LA that I've been working with for a while that built them, came up with them, and I think.
Yeah, it's nice. I know our logo is undergoing another iteration. Sometimes the lesson here is not to go against what the original vision was that was laid out by your founders. And that's kind of what we did with our second iteration. We hired a design studio who worked on Airbnb's new design and brand promise that belong anywhere. They came in and they worked with us, and they created this whole new visual identity and brand. And as I said in my talk, and I don't know if I went into enough detail, but the founder was like, founders were eventually like, no, this isn't us. And we decided to go back to the drawing board. And right now, so we're in the process of going from the logo that they created and going to another design, which is an upgraded design of our original logo, which is Typeform, and then a cursor after the M. When we created the Meaningful Conference, we took the cursor and we made it horizontal to show connection between meaningful brands, meaningful relationships, and things like that. So if you see Meaningful, you're going to see that. And if you see Typeform, you're going to see an upgraded logo, probably in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I like simple.
That sounds really
I like
interesting.
logos like what you described that are really easy. When you see it, it's something that jumps out. Like when you were talking about Nike, that when you see the thing, you know that that's Nike. I think it's really kind of brand awareness from the get-go, so that you can expand. Of course, you can change it through the years, like Twitter's changed and different people change, but they've really kept something that's consistent about the original logo that's gone with them. Like Microsoft changed over the years to like the 4 squares now or whatever, but they still maintain some kind of the original vision.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, do you have any questions for each other as well? Is there anything you want to learn about
Well, I'll hook up with you guys on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I need a copy of Lewis's talk.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be in probably after the second week, we're gonna digitize them and stream and release some of them as well for people to watch outside of this conference. So that should be cool. So you'll be able, I'll send you a text on LinkedIn or something and send you a link to it.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Cool.
Good.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, I think this is probably what we had time for. We're already kind of going overboard anyways, but I was told that's okay. So yeah, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Back for the Q&A. I had a lot of fun talking to you guys, and I hope the audience enjoyed this chat as well.
Cool.
Hope everyone had a great day today and got some inspiration from the really cool speakers we've had, not just today, but also yesterday. So we had like a masterclass on motion design. We talked about leveraging AI to scale businesses and protecting against weaponized AI. We talked about pandemic. We talked about creative growth, meaningful brand sustainability, fashion, retail, and so many other cool topics. And we have even more really cool things coming up on their second weekend. So we have speakers from Magic Leap, Deloitte, Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, and many others. So it's really not to be missed. So I hope also you guys come back and tune in next week as well.
Definitely.
And also, yeah, excited. And also during the weekend we have networking. So feel free to like connect with anyone at the conference or other speakers. You can even arrange meetings through Pinetool. And also we have a thing called chat roulette. So it's basically if you sign up to it, we'll connect you to a random person from the audience to kind of connect. So it's a little bit of a fun thing to do. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay. All right, Paul, go back to bed, man.
All right, man.
All right, I'll see you later.
Bye, Merritt.
Bye, guys.
It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye.
All right.
See you next week.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.